It's the Mustang Insider Show presented by Cal Portland, the largest building materials company of cement and construction material products on the West Coast. Now, here's Chris Sylvester, the voice of the Mustangs.
Welcome into another edition of the Mustang Insider presented by Cal Portland. And, well, the weather's certainly getting a bit colder here on the Central Coast. And that usually means that we're approaching winter. And what winter usually means is college basketball. And that's right, we're just a little more than 2 weeks away from Cal Poly men's basketball opening their 2020-2021 season. We did the women's basketball previews. We talked to Faith Mimnaugh and Abby Ellis the last couple weeks. Now we're going to dive into Cal Poly men's basketball, and our guest here on the program, a good friend of mine, head coach of the team, Jamal Smith. Coach, thanks so much for taking time out of what all of a sudden has become a busy schedule for you, gearing up for the season. It's been such a unique off season, being that we kind of got shut down just days after your guys' final game at UC Santa Barbara. There was no Big West Conference tournament. We really didn't know what a college basketball season would look like if we'd even have one, but the NCAA, they are not going to let us go back-to-back years without March Madness. So we will have a college basketball season. Even if the case numbers get crazy around us, we will try and play as many games as we can. And you guys have already put out the schedule. There have been some minor adjustments to it. But take us through, if you could, just in a few bullet points or a few sentences, what the off-season was like and the emotions, the roller coaster of being up and down about things.
Yeah, it's been crazy, with all the uncertainty that COVID brings. You just never knew if we would get to this point. But once the NCAA released their schedule of having us start up on the 25th, then we had something to shoot for, But fortunately for us, we've been here since July, beating each other up, running around crazy, trying to prepare. And we're real excited about the prospect of where we're going with this program, with all the influx of all the freshmen that we have. But sometimes it looks like a circus, running around with how young they are. But we're excited about, the possibilities of playing November 25th, and we can't wait to get going.
Jamal Smith, Cal Poly head men's basketball coach, entering year 2 at the helm of the program. When you take a look at last year, you get the job in late March, so you don't have much of a chance to go get a recruiting class that's really yours, like this group of freshmen is. So in a lot of ways, it was kind of like year 0 last year, kind of coming in and being on top of what you had, and then spending all that time off the floor, getting guys to fit your system and guys that you think will be effective at Cal Poly and can win you some games at Cal Poly. So, what's the biggest difference for you preparing for this season compared to preparing for last season, minus all the drama you've had to deal with the pandemic?
The biggest difference is, like you said, is finally having a year to recruit through these lenses, and bring in guys that totally believe in where you're going with the program and fit where you're going with the program. Last year we took over a team that had a lot of returning guys. I think 12, maybe 12, 13 guys returned, and they were recruited for a certain style, and we're trying to play a different style. And this year we're now have a group of guys that's formulated towards the style that we want to play. No knock towards anything. Last year is just like you said. Last year is like 0-1. It's year 0. I mean, and I always point to year 3 as the year that you finally see the total transformation and the building of a program. So for us, we're almost there. The 7 freshmen that we have and the 1 grad transfer that we have come in, they fit exactly to a T of what we're trying to do. And now it's just trying to build them up daily, day by day, and just having one good practice and stack them on top of each other and continue to build this program where we're trying to go. So we're excited. We're excited about the prospects of what we're trying to build.
Well, there's over 360 Division I college basketball men's programs, and you guys were like one of the earliest to drop your schedule. And I know there's been a couple of adjustments already to that. You subtracted a game and you added a game. When you look at this non-conference schedule, and I know you weren't too pleased with last year's non-conference schedule, a couple of trips out to the Midwest that weren't easy, not as many home games as I'm sure you would have liked during the non-conference portion of the schedule. But I look at this schedule, and obviously, and just about everybody in college basketball is playing a geographically friendly schedule with the pandemic this year to cut down on travel and limit exposure. But you got the 3 games up in Portland against a team out of the WCC, team out of the WAC, and a team out of the Big Sky Conference. And then you have a Northern California trip, really a 3-game road trip if you look at it that way, where you're at Stanford, a night off, and then you go to Santa Clara, who you opened up your career here at Cal Poly against last year, and then you go to Fresno State, which has become a good rivalry between a couple of college basketball opponents here in Central California. And then you have your one non-conference home game against a good WCC program in San Diego. You wrap up non-conference with another WCC road game at LMU. Even without the pandemic, this was kind of a similar schedule to what you were looking to put together, right?
Yes, without a doubt. We wanted to find some common opponents, some like opponents to give us a barometer of where we're at, especially with such a young team, and we think we accomplished that with the teams that you stated, from the Big Sky, WCC, so that was the game plan, and on top of that, get some really high major tests in Stanford, and we thought we were going to have SC, but that's the game that we had to switch out because the conference schedule. But we're always going to try and make our schedule that way, have some like opponents, but also have some Power Fives on the conference schedule to prepare us for what I feel to be one of the best conferences in the state of California, which is the Big West. I mean, you have some unbelievable coaches up and down our conference that's going to stretch you schematically and test you physically and mentally. So anytime you can set up a schedule that does that for you in the preseason, it just sets you up for some success.
I want to show you something real quick here, Coach. That's pretty sweet, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet. It's one of our partners, American Riviera Bank. They're a proud supporter of Cal Poly Mustang athletics. If you open up a Cal Poly Mustang checking account today, American Riviera Bank will donate $150 to support student athletes. It's an interest-bearing checking account, which is always great. It includes unlimited ATM surcharge refunds, plus an exclusive Cal Poly Mustang debit card and Cal Poly checks. Visit arb.bank/Mustangs for more information. Had to get that plug in. We're joined by head coach of the Cal Poly men's basketball Mustangs, Jamal Smith. And here we are just a couple of weeks, 2.5 weeks from the start of the season. Well, it's 2 weeks from tomorrow, right? It's 2 weeks from tomorrow. We open up the season of the Pacific Northwest. What's practice been like for you guys, in this unique situation? I know you guys aren't as restricted as you were during the late summertime when you guys were allowed to meet together, but what's been the biggest difference between practice leading up to this season against practice leading up to previous seasons?
Well, the main thing is the guys are getting tired of each other. Usually at this time, we've already had inter-squad scrimmage, a scrimmage with a closed-door scrimmage, and exhibition game with other opponents. But we've had to do that, mimic that amongst ourselves. And once you do that, you get tired of each other. You know the plays, you're grabbing and holding. So it's a bunch of monotony starting to set in. But for the most part, the guys have handled it great. And, I've been impressed with how well they've picked up the system, the schemes, the concepts, and, the camaraderie. This team is really close. And the veteran guys have done a great job of mentoring the new guys. So we're excited about where we're going and can't wait to get out there in 2 weeks.
Mentioned the non-conference schedule, pretty much built out, all West Coast opponents. What are you hoping to gain from that stretch? It's a bit unique in that you guys will play 3 games in 4 days. Then you'll have a pretty large amount of time off, over a week, before you play 3 games in another week. And then you got 2 games in a week. And then you got about a week off before Big West play begins on the island against Hawaii. So obviously you want to win some games. There's no question about that. I think getting off to a slow start last year probably in the wrong way, kind of set the tone sometimes, because you guys had so many games where 50-50 at the end of Big West games, where oftentimes it went in the other direction. So while these games aren't going to, the Big West is a one bid league more times than not. What are you hoping to get out of these games? I know you want to win some, but what else, especially with so many freshmen that are going to be seeing some significant playing time?
Just trying to, teach these guys the importance of the process and not the outcome. In order to get to your ultimate goal, the final outcome, which is winning 3 games in a row, you have to understand the process of how to go from game 1 to game 2 to game 3, make the proper adjustments to be successful. So starting out with a tournament, a 3-day tournament, 3-game tournament in 4 days, helps prepare us for that end goal. And so that's the thing that we're looking for mostly, is just seeing how these guys approach the first day and make the adjustments for game 2. And if we can do that early, it's going to help us late.
John Smith is with us. He is the head coach of the Cal Poly men's basketball team. Freshman, and I had one of them on by the name of Cam Pierce. He's out of Etowanda, and he was a guy that you recruited while you were at Cal State Fullerton. And when you got up here, he kind of followed you up here in a way. I didn't exactly work out like that, but he mentioned the story of how you guys first met each other, and at first you guys just developed a great player coach relationship. I know how important point guards are in your system. Specifically, and you've got a guy in Keith Smith, your nephew, who's a 5th-year senior. He's experienced. I know he hasn't been healthy here recently, but these freshmen aren't just like freshmen that I think we see at other Big West Conference schools. I mean, is it fair to say that to open up the season, they're all going to be in your rotation? They're all going to see the floor for the most part?
For the most part, they will be. In one way, shape, or form. We've recruited that way, and unfortunately, some injuries have forced them into that way. And I just look at it as a benefit and a plus for the future. I think back to my great moments, my great times at Cal State Fullerton with my good friend Dedrick Taylor, and seeing the transformation of the freshmen that we brought in there, and when we went to the NCAA tournament, just seeing them go from year 1 to year 2 to year 3. These guys remind me of those guys. They come in hungry and confident, just like the Kyle Allman Juniors did, and Khalil Ahmad and Jamal Smith and Austin Awishika and Jackson Rowe. These guys are very similar to them. They're hungry, they're confident, and they're looking forward to these minutes, eating up these minutes and doing the best that they can. And they think that they're ready now. They don't realize that they're not, but they think they are. But that's what I love about them.
Hey, you just mentioned a former Mustang who's now playing overseas professionally. Your son, Jamal Smith, who we all got to know and love last year. Such a hustler. He was always diving on the floor for loose balls, and really made some big plays for you guys in games last season, his final collegiate season. How did that all come together for him? And he's playing overseas in Armenia, right? I mean, how's that been treating him?
He's learning. He's learning that professional life isn't for everyone, and you got to deal with the professional life. But he's a fighter and he's a survivor, and he's doing well over there. But how it came to fruition is crazy. I always tell people that basketball is a small world. It's one big world, but we're all connected in some way, shape, or form. Jamal was our ball boy at 10 months old at Chaffey College. And the head coach there was a guy by the name of Nurses Kapalyan. Nurses is Armenian descent. Nurses is now back in Armenia, and the general manager of the team that Jamal plays for is good friends with Nurses, and was trying to hire Nurses as the head coach. And right away, Nurses was like, "Didn't Jamal just finish? Would he be willing to come play for me out here?" And so forth and so on. And Nurses didn't take the job, but Nurses connected Jamal with the GM, and there you have it, from 10 months old to 23-year-old or 22-year-old, professional.
Have you been able to watch some of his games? Are they streamed?
Yeah, they're streamed. I have been able to watch some of his games. He's had some pretty big games. It's a different type of league. You have a 30-year-old guy that played at Illinois State. It's probably the best in the league on Jamal's team. Jamal had a 27-point game, a 16-point game, and then he had a game where he only had 2 points. Then he had a game where he didn't play, so he's learning, that pro basketball, you got to stay consistent.
Right.
And that's what I wanted him to get out of this. And, so he's learning the hard way, but it's been great for him.
Hey, the rookie treatment, right? I mean, you kind of get it everywhere you go, but it's a little different internationally. Let's get back to talking about this squad that you're about to embark on this journey with in a couple of weeks. And I know that you guys were kind of hampered by some injuries to your big men early last season specifically, and it never really felt like you had enough bodies down there. There were some Big West games where all your big guys got in foul trouble early and you kind of had to go small, and that might have cost you some games in conference play last year. But here you are with a stable of guys. You bring back Hank Hollingsworth, who's vying to get to the top of the leaderboards in Cal Poly history and blocks. You bring in an experienced guy in Riley Till, who played alongside Luka Garza the last few years at Iowa. You have Tuka Yakala, who made some huge strides last year, coming back as well, in addition to a number of other guys that can fill in, play, a bit bigger down there if they need to. What are your thoughts on that position group, and how much further along are they right now compared to last year when a couple of guys, can't forget Ollie Karoma, of course, but you got a couple of guys that were sitting out early last season that certainly cost you against some of the bigger teams on your non-conference schedule?
It definitely did. Going into this year, we have a plethora of bigs. I call them the three-headed monster at the 5 spot with Hank Hollingsworth, Tuka Yakala, and Ali Karoma, and they're all different in their own way. Hank is an anchor defensively, and he puts pressure at the rim, off a ball screen. You can throw it up to him, and Tuka's so skilled with both hands, left and right, and he just plays. He's so smart, high IQ, and then Ali is a wild card. Ali can score in multiple ways, but he's also a freak athlete defensively. So it's great to have that type of versatility at that position. And then, like you stated, at the 4 position, we have a savvy veteran in Riley Till, and Kyle Coleman had great minutes for us last year, and then we have a freshman in Dyson Kohler that he's done some things in practice that you raise your eyebrow like, wow, where did that come from? I mean, he's very athletic, explosive, can shoot it. So we love the versatility that we have at those 2 spots, and we're looking forward to seeing how they can progress.
On the outside, I know that you guys feel like you got some guys that can shoot the basketball and knock down fair share of shots. I've had a chance to make it out to a couple of practices, and quite honestly, at the few practices I've been to and the little scrimmages that you guys have had, I think at some point or another, I've seen every freshman do something where I've been impressed. But there's been a guy who you got late by the name of Brantley Stevenson, who was Cam Pierce's high school teammate at Etowanda, and he just can't seem to miss in practice. And I know it's going to be different when you have defenders that you've never seen before and different backdrops and different gyms. But at least from what I've seen, and I'm no basketball mind like you, but he's looked really good.
Yeah, he's been the biggest joy. I won't say the biggest joy, but one of the biggest surprises amongst our staff. I've known that from him from a while. I've seen him since he was a freshman, sophomore. But he's a shot maker, not just a shot taker. He's a shot maker in a plethora of ways. He's a 3-level scorer, can shoot the 3, put it on the ground, and get to the hole, and he has a confidence of a million men. Let's just put it that way. The kid just believes in himself, and that's a quality that you can't teach. But the beauty that he has someone that Mark Crow has been unbelievable for us in terms of leadership. He has been nails every day in practice. He's showing these guys the way of what it takes to compete at a high level. And to, just stay within yourself. Mark's not going to be someone that's going to go between his legs 3 or 4 times and try and throw a hook past someone. He's going to catch and shoot and get to his spot. And he's teaching these freshmen to do the same thing amongst themselves. Now, with Brantley, it's totally different. Brantley can do all 3 things. So he's been encouraging Brantley to do these things. And I've been so impressed with his leadership.
John Smith, again, our guest here on the Mustang Insider, as we kind of preview the upcoming season. Big West play is going to look a lot different. You're going to have the home and home series wiped away this year. You're only going one place, or they're coming here. And I know that you kind of look at this schedule and it's like, dang, they kind of hosed us again, because we got to go to Hawaii, to Irvine, to Long Beach, to Santa Barbara. And that's not to take anything away from the other teams in the conference, but I mean, you're looking at some of the best teams in the league right there, and programs that have consistently kind of been towards the middle or top of the Big West Conference. It's going to be back-to-back Friday, Saturdays, and the Big West almost kind of pioneered that in a way, because they were one of the first teams to drop their conference schedule, and just about every other Division I conference has kind of followed suit with the back-to-back days, or same weekend, same venue, same opponent. And I know that could be frustrating in a way, because you want to be able to make adjustments. You see a team once, then you see them again a month later, and you've really improved on some things. You've gotten some guys healthy. This year, it's just going to be like, hey, you're going to show up with what you have, and you hope that you can stay healthy enough for both of those games. I guess you do have an advantage in that you have some really young legs that are going to be out there. But what are your thoughts on the way the conference schedule shakes out with the back-to-backs, and what type of adjustments are you guys going to have to make as a coaching staff to get these guys ready for, 2 games within 30 hours?
Yeah. First of all, with this pandemic and everything that's going on, our main theme has been focus on what you can control, and focus on what you get to do, not what you have to do. Like, we get to spend Christmas in Hawaii, not what we don't get to do, so
Right.
focus on the things that you can control. It is what it is. We have to try and create a bubble situation to make sure that we control this virus as best we could. And this is the way that they came up with. So everybody has to do it. So we all have to do it. So we just have to focus on what we can control night in and night out. And what we can control is our energy, our effort, and our preparation. And you can best be sure that we'll be prepared. And like you said, we have a bunch of fresh legs. If we can stay healthy, our energy and effort will be there as well. And we'll spend a lot of time after game one watching a lot of film and making some quick adjustments and adjusting on the fly. So everybody has to do it. And we just see who can do it the best. And hopefully that's the Mustangs.
Coach, last thing for you. Season starts a couple of weeks from now, and I've tried to explain it here. Like, we're going to miss the fans like way more than they even know. Like, they have no idea how much we're going to miss them. Me as a radio guy, being that I'm going to get sneakers, whistles, and you yelling at the officials, and I can't get any cheering or anything like that. And I know it pumps you guys up. Even when you go on the road and you got 10,000 people screaming against you, that serves as some sort of motivation. So it's going to be a little bit eerie. And I know you guys almost want to take advantage of that when you go play the big dogs like Stanford. But if you're a fan, a Cal Poly fan watching the game here in a couple of weeks, what is it that you're looking for as a Cal Poly fan? Like, what should Cal Poly fans be looking for when they watch these first few games? Like, what's going to be a sign that you guys are doing what you want to do?
Probably if you look for, to answer that question, our pace, like me and you have always talked about, our pace and our spacing and our competitiveness, our resiliency, all those things.
RCC, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Resiliency, competitive, and collaboration. If you see those things happening, then you can best be sure that we're probably going to have a successful season. But if you don't, then you could best be sure that I'm gonna pull out whatever other hair that I don't have and find a way to get it done. But watching the games, hopefully we can have a muzzle on me, because you're gonna hear some high pitched.
Well, Coach, they might, to limit the exposure. Hopefully, they put me at a higher vantage point because I can see a little bit more that way. But we're gonna have to find a way to stay 6 feet apart during those post-game interviews. And hard to believe that it's just a couple of weeks away, Coach. But we're really looking forward to it. Thanks so much for taking some time to chat with us here today.
Anytime. Thank you, Chris. Always a pleasure.
All right, Cal Poly Mustang fans, before we sign off, do you have what it takes to ace the fan exam? Play the new live college sports trivia game presented by Captain Bill Subs and hosted by Mike Golick twice a week now through December 17th. Put your knowledge to the test for the chance to win some great prizes. Sign up to play now at gopoly.com/thefan exam. We'll see you next time.
This has been the Mustang Insider Show presented by Cal Portland, with a commitment to environmental leadership that has made the organization stronger and is the primary choice of contractors. The Mustang Insider Show. The preceding has been a Learfield IMG College presentation of the Cal Poly Sports Network.